So you're then going to do an interview where you're going to transform into Mankind and then Cactus Jack. And Meltzer would say, real interesting in New York to see zero reaction to Dude Love and a huge pop when he switched to Cactus Jack. Jack ends up fighting both New Age Outlaws, winding up in a short singles match with Road Dogg, ending in a DQ when Billy Gunn interferes and he drags them to the back where there was a big box. As they fought, a chainsaw was sawing its way out of the box, and there was a chant of Terry almost immediately because it was not exactly a secret. Funk was debuting on the show. Funk came out wearing a stocking and was called Chainsaw Charlie, and the announcers never used the name Terry Funk. He chased the Outlaws around with a chainsaw, basically doing the Leatherface gimmick from Japan. This Chainsaw Charlie thing, as Bruce tells the story, he thinks this is all from the mind of Terry Funk. And
yes. So Terry even joked about it, saying that people thought it was like Vince's punishment for walking out years earlier, and it all came from Terry. Like this Chainsaw Charlie thing was Terry's idea. The pantyhose over his head. I don't know why we didn't all just sit down and go do the math and go, how long will it take you to cut out of that box? Because, you know, it's like on Mystery Science Theater, you see the bad guy walking at the mummy.
Yes.
And the people are all begging off, doing the Memphis back pedal, what I call it, you know, tripping, falling, when he's moving so slowly. In this case, it's Billy and Road Dogg as the astonished onlookers who watch as a human being cuts his way out of a box.
Which takes a little time.
Takes a little time, more time than we thought. I'd still say it was good. I still believe Dave was too hard on Dude Love, stemming back from some of the reports from the earlier on, just a few months earlier, right?
Yeah,
just a few months earlier. I don't think he was in Dude's corner. So sometimes people see and hear what they want to see. I wasn't aware that there was any deafening silence for the Dude. I will accept that Cactus Jack got the big pop, but this is only a few months removed from September, where Dude was last in.
Yes.
And that was, I think that'll go down as a great moment in most people's books. So this wasn't as elaborate, the reveal, the change. But it was a great way of helping kick off that, not kick off, but to prolong the program that I had going with the Outlaws.
You were right. For reasons I still don't quite understand, Terry was, at his own request, turned into Chainsaw Charlie. And the result wasn't quite what I was looking for. Cactus Jack stuck around for 3 months this time, but in truth, the impact was not all that great. It might have been a lack of interview time, or it might have been the somewhat anticlimactic debut of Terry chainsawing his way out of a wooden box with a pair of baby-powdered pantyhose on his head. But for some reason, our team didn't quite take off as we had planned. Don't get me wrong, the team wasn't a failure, but it did fail to live up to what I thought it could be. I thought we could usher in a new era of danger and dynamic promos into the world of sports entertainment. Instead, we were just a couple of popular wrestlers who were miles apart from Steve Austin on the food chain.
Yeah. I think in retrospect, I do tend to be tough on myself.
Yes, you do.
When I was writing the memoir, I'm recalling it the way it felt, and it did feel like, even though it went well, it could have gone better. I expected it to go better. It didn't make the lasting impact. And I think I can offer up to Terry leaving the company a few months after that as proof. He left in May of 98. When he could have had a long life after that. He could have been a coach, a producer, a lot of things. He could, maybe those things have been offered to him. I don't know. But to trying to get within miles of Steve Austin's orbit was really difficult for anybody. So maybe I was being a little too tough on myself, because it did what Terry and I did set the stage for the reformation of DX, and it set the stage for Dude's heel turn and 2 successful matches with Steve Austin, where I established myself as Mr. In Your House. So I think it was more successful than I gave myself credit for being. Probably, but still not probably, definitely wasn't what I hoped it would be, because what I hoped it would be the culmination of a best-of-7 deathmatch series, ending up with something that would be unforgettable at Mania.
Well, you think about all those iconic promos that Terry cut in the NWA and WCW and ECW, and certainly yourself in WCW and ECW, and if you could bring all that together and put the WWE production with it.
Yeah.
And you guys have just adequate mic time to tell your stories and do your interviews, but then turn the volume up and bring that Japanese style violence to the WWE. I could see how you would think this is going to...
Because we're only 10 years removed from Terry Funk completely taking over the NWA show, which would later on to be WCW. He infamously piles Flair on the table, pile drives Flair on the table. I mean, this is just, it's just such a, I know we're skipping over, but I need to let people know what Terry was still capable of, because I'd seen him do it.
In 89,
in
he
89,
was one of the top guys around.
So when I say 88, did it start in 88, the Steamboat Flair?
That was all 89.
89, okay, 89. And so they'd had the great Broadway at the Superdome, and now the big payoff is Nashville or Chicago?
Nashville is the third and final one, and that's where Terry's a judge.
Terry's
and they get kicked off in May, and they wrap it up in December at a Clash of the Champions with the unbelievable I Quit match.
Incredible. Maybe still to this day my favorite match of all time. They had to change gears. It was a different feel for a Flair match. Brawling. They weren't allowed to have a drop of blood because of the edict that went down at that time. They would go back and forth over the years. But they managed to have the most vicious brawl I'd ever seen without a drop of blood because of the the energy and emotion they brought to it. But anyone goes back and looks at that WCW/NWA product right after Flair left, and Terry kind of had the free hand to come in and he just took over the show in a way that I don't believe anyone's capable of doing to this day. And he just left his imprint on it, and the stuff he did wild, and the promos were great, and they were out there, and they got heat, real and theatrical, real heat with Rick, right? Who wasn't comfortable with some of the stuff Terry was doing, but brother, when Rick came back, Terry was a full. I mean, he was
ready.
He was ready, and they had some classic matches, like you said. Culminated with that amazing I Quit match. So we're only 9 years removed from that.
He looks to be in the best shape of his life.
Yeah, he was, I think, early 50s at that time.
No. He was early 50s in 97 in ECW. Oh, you mean with you in 90?
Yeah. So he was early 50s in 97, still really ready to go.
Yes.
And I thought we could have had those amazing matches. So we did have a good run, but not what I hoped it would be.
No, I think that's fair. I didn't see it from that perspective. As a fan, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. And he did the same thing everywhere he went.
Yes.
You wouldn't see it because everything was regional. But you go back and you look at Dusty Rhodes and the Florida stuff that he did. You look at him.
Lawler in
Tennessee, which was a phenomenal program. The stuff he did as a babyface in the original ECW before it went extreme, and he was basically holding it up and giving his rub to, a handful of guys who would go on to help you carry that company. He was everything that was right about wrestling.
Does he rank on your Mount Rushmore?
He's number one. He is. And the reason being is that he made it so easy to suspend disbelief. And this is not a knock on the other guys, who are either in my top 10 or on my Mount Rushmore. But he was, to me, he was the guy who could go in and make people look good. He made other people. He brought a sense of believability to the matches and the promos, and he could have a good match in different styles with just about anybody. He raised everybody's game, but it's the believability. Other people may have had the same believability, but didn't have the other.
The prowess.
The prowess, and didn't have the ability to switch from babyface to heel, to talk people into the building, to not care. To go so far, I mean, Terry got stabbed in Corpus Christi, right? This is the building I was stabbed here. And I said, did you press charges? He got mad at me. This is like in 88, this is 89 or early 90 when I was in WCW. He goes, what did you say? Did you ask me if I pressed charges? How could I press charges against somebody who was paying me the ultimate compliment? And he considered getting stabbed to be a compliment.
One of my favorite Terry Funk moments, we, in my handful of times hanging out with him, we wound up watching old tapes, and he said, "Hey, do you have that ECW pay-per-view?" He meant the first one. So I said, "Yeah, sure." So I throw in the DVD. This is how long ago this was. And we watched the match, and there's a spot where he puts the ladder on his head and just spins windmills around and gets the guys. And as he's doing that on camera or on the video, he looks to me and says, "I went to college." And I just thought, what a great line that is. That just want to throw that out there. I went to college.
I went to college.
A few days later, Jim Cornette called me up. Quote, "Cactus, Vince loves the idea, but we're going to have to change it up a little bit. We want you and Terry to start off as a team at the Royal Rumble in January. Somehow, you two have a falling out, and Terry challenges you to a Texas death match right there in Houston for the February pay-per-view. And you'll have the damnedest fight they've ever seen at WrestleMania." So, hey, not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad.
It's not bad.